It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in. Another edition of Musso at the box. Welcome in. Glad to have you along for the ride. Well, folks, the Tigers have wrapped up their preseason scrimmages, final one on Sunday. Now, the next time they take the field for a game atmosphere, it will count, and it will be Friday against Purdue-Fort Wayne, first of three to open up the 2025 season. There's a lot to go through. I mean, we obviously went out there a few different times, at least once each weekend, saw the Tigers, kind of been recapping it all the way here throughout leading up. We have our final one today. Now, I will say the scrimmage format on Sunday was a little bit different than it had been the rest of the time for LSU. And there's a few reasons for that, obviously, that I think are pretty obvious, but we can get into them as well. And I do have some thoughts from the rest of the weekend as well, because you saw some guys really put their foot on the gas and take a step forward heading into the regular season. So that's what we're going to do here today as we recap the final weekend of scrimmages out at Alec Box Stadium. Be sure to subscribe, smash the like button if you have not already. Go ahead and leave comments as well. That's greatly appreciated. Follow me on social media. Those handles scroll below you, and get subscribed to your favorite podcast app as well, wherever you get your podcast. But first and foremost, smash that like button. All right. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. So we'll start with Sunday and then kind of get into some overall thoughts. LSU, they went out there, they played 3 innings, and they said, okay, that's enough. That's good. Call it, and it's over. So 1 hour of baseball, 3 innings for LSU, saw 3 total pitchers. The lineups were mix and matched, but one team was only batting 7. The other team was only batting 8. The reason you look at that, and it's clear once you see them only play 3 innings, but even in the moment watching this, okay, then these are the 15 guys right there that he wants to get as many at bats. And especially if you're only playing 3 innings, you want to get them as many at bats as possible in your final, dress rehearsal heading into the regular season. And that's exactly what this was. This was very much dress rehearsal. There were walk-up songs. There was the national anthem. Like it was everything about the game or the scrimmage today was game-like. So that's how it was all weekend, and it was no different here on Sunday, except they played 3 innings instead of 9. In those 3 innings, though, there was a lot to take away. I want to start here. We'll start kind of with the pitchers, and got to see Dalton Beck for a third time, and I start with him because I've obviously been intrigued, and we've talked about that plenty as well, where it's okay, he's firmly in that category of guy I think can make an impact and do so in multiple ways for LSU, whether it's on the mound or in the field, or definitely at the plate. But I wanted to see more because I just want to kind of find the role in particular, where maybe that starts. Saw more, still don't really know. I will say he had a nice 2 innings out there on the mound for LSU today. It was more reminiscent of what you saw from him the first time this preseason when we got out there and got a look at him. 2 innings, gave up the 1 run, punched out 3, only walked 1. He was dominant in his first inning of work. Got Milam swinging on a high fastball for the strikeout. Derek Curiel with a beautifully executed bunt single. I just continue to be wildly impressed with every facet of his game. He also found the fence this weekend as well for a home run. So that's what we talk about. Like the power's not quite there, but there's traces of it, right? It's going to come eventually. But I mean, you also see today a bunt single. I mean, he put it it was just past the pitcher's mound, but far enough away from first base where Jones had to field it because the second baseman couldn't, and you just had no chance beating him out with his speed, and especially coming out of the left-handed batter's box. He was awesome. Now, what was also nice to see is in that inning, Beck faced the minimum because they were able to pick off Derek Curiel. He broke for second. Beck steps off, throws to first. Jones picks him at second base. It was a fantastic play by Mikey Ryan on the other end, who was playing shortstop. Jones short hopped the throw, and Mikey Ryan made a great pick over there at second to nail him. And then obviously Ethan Fry after that would strike out on a sinker down and away. It was just another awesome pitch. Now, he did get into a little bit of trouble in his second inning of work. He struck out Braswell, though, to start that inning. So 3 of the first 4 hitters he faced punched out. And that's kind of when the trouble got in. He would hit Ashton Larson. You had Cade Arambidi was at the plate. They put Larson back in the on deck circle and just put Braswell out on first for the runner for Larson being hit. And Cade Arambidi pops it up in foul ground. Jared Jones has it right in his sight, and he just can't squeeze it. It pops out of his glove. So you have that drop foul ball. Arambidi would draw the walk. Larson would come back up, beat the shift in a 2-strike count with a single to left field. This was a great sequence here on the base paths. So he beats the shift, single to left. That obviously scores Braswell from second. So give Larson the RBI. And Cade Arambidi heads up base run. He notices nobody is covering third base, takes off, takes third. Larson tries to sneak into second base behind him, can't. He's thrown out. And then, the inning would end after a walk and a ground out. But ultimately, some nice offensive baseball in there and some really good stuff from Dalton Beck. I think if I'm looking right now for a role for Dalton Beck on this team, I think it is either some ABs at DH or maybe potentially midweek starter at this point. I've kind of liked him in that starting role in a sense. You've seen them actually kind of stretch him out a little bit in these scrimmages. If it's not, and look, LSU's not looking for a midweek guy to go out there right now. They've got too many arms and too many great options. So for a midweek guy to go out there and give you 6 innings, right? So if you get Dalton Beck out there for 2-3 innings to start a midweek game, and then you can go to this other plethora of arms that you have and continue to get them innings and work them up before you get later in the season, I think that would be awesome. If it's not that, then I think you kind of just see him maybe more in a little bit of a, okay, here's the 5th inning, go see what you can do type deal early in the season. But I think if it were me, I'd kind of just go, okay, midweek, like go out there, give us 2-3 innings in the midweek, and let's see how it goes. Because the stuff's pretty good, and he throws a lot of strikes. That's something that I've seen clearly, and he's gonna have to. He's had some good strikeout numbers so far here in these scrimmages, but he just, the way he pitches, the way the stuff is, he looks like he's going to be much more pitch to contact type guy. That sinker's a heck of a pitch. The other pitcher to highlight is one that we obviously talked about last week when we were doing Meet the Freshman. That is Maverick Rizzy. Got to see him finally again for a second time, first time since the fall, and he was awesome. I mean, it was a dominant inning for Maverick Rizzy. Again, 6'9", well over 200 pounds. The he's a giant. Fastball was strong, 94-95. Slider was sharp at 82-84. He threw a perfect inning in his 1 inning of work. Struck out Derek Curiel on the heater. Got a ground out of Ethan Fry, 4-3, and then a ground out of Michael Braswell, 6-3. So, that's 2 guys, at least 2 guys in Curiel and Braswell who are going to be in the starting lineup for LSU on opening day. And, he mowed right through them. So, it was a less than 10 pitch inning for Maverick Rizzy. He looked awesome, y'all. And that guy for me is going to get a chance on the weekend out of the bullpen here opening week. He's just, the stuff is incredible. This stuff plays incredibly well is what I was going for there. And man, he showed it again in that. I very impressed. Good sequences of the pitches too. It wasn't just, gas all the time. They really mixed it up in that 1 inning. And as a freshman, to have that type of command and control of your stuff just coming right out of the bullpen, that's an impressive thing. That speaks to a guy who's going to end up having a great career, be a big-time player for LSU in the future if he's already kind of harnessed it that much here early in his freshman year. We'll see what happens when the lights come on, all right? And there's 10,000 people and all that. I understand. Preseason scrimmage, what do we always say? Grain of salt. But the couple times I've gotten to see Maverick Rizzy, once in the fall, once now in the winter preseason, although it's hard to call it winter right now. It's like 80 degrees and it's fantastic. But it's a good thing they moved the games up because of cold. Anyway, it's great to see him, having the success that he is already early in his college career. Jaden Newt was the other pitcher that we got to see again. Really nice first 2 innings. LSU played some great defense behind him throughout. The 3rd inning, though, his second trip through the lineup, and this was this was the tougher lineup. You had Dickinson, Brown, Jones, Pearson, Stanfield, actually both Pearsons in it. So second time through, they got to him a little bit. I mean, we can run through it. Chris Stanfield led off that inning with a single. John Pearson came up, squares to bunt, pulls it back, and just laces a ball to center field. Curiel, who was playing center today, man, tracked it, looked like he had a beat on it. He just could not ultimately complete the play and get there. So you have a double. So you immediately start that inning with second and third. It looked like Newt and Aaron Beatty got crossed up and the ball got through. I mean, that's just the way Aaron Beatty went to catch it. It did not look like he was ready, kind of for fastball, got handcuffed. It goes to the backstop. You have a run come in, and then Dickinson follows that with a sharp single to center field, which scored the other run. Really good to see. I'm going to come back to Daniel Dickinson. Jake Brown flew out to right field. Jared Jones, after a Dickinson steal, would walk. Josh Pearson, fielder's choice. You have a runner on third. And again, another mishap at the plate, and a run comes in from third. He gave up the 3 runs in that inning, and that's kind of how. But in those first 2, he looked pretty good. And again, like I said, they played some great defense behind him. I'm going to get into that here momentarily, because I did think, actually, let's do it right now, because I did think this was one of LSU's better defensive days that I've seen them have in going out there. I will tell you this, it was Stephen Milam's best defensive day at shortstop. And he hasn't been bad at all. Like, he's actually been really freaking good just early on. I mean, we haven't come in here yet once after these scrimmages and be like, well, Milam kicked the ball around. No, that hasn't happened. So he's been really steady the entire time. And I think today was his best. He definitely made the most flashy plays on Sunday than he has all throughout these scrimmages. And the first one happened in the first inning. So Jake Brown is due up second, right? And Brown had just an incredible weekend in this final scrimmage. We're going to dive into it and talk about it, because I think it kind of reveals where I want him right now in the lineup. We'll get to that. But I think Jake Brown, if memory serves, it was 7 hits. He had 7 hits across Friday and Saturday. He steps into the box here, drills one up the middle on the ground. Hot shot. Looks like it's ticketed for center field. But Milam, ranging over from his shortstop position, grabs it, throws all in one motion, nails Brown at first base. The throw was a little wide, but it was a great scoop by Eddie Yaman, who was over there. So great play by Milam, great play by Yaman, and you get the out. In the very next inning, with Luis Hernandez up, Milam again. This time, ranging over towards third base, slow roller, backhand, throws back across his body with a leap and hits Yaman right in the freaking chest to nail Luis Hernandez. 2 phenomenal plays by Stephen Milam, showing off the arm and the range and the accuracy. Everything you obviously want in a shortstop and in back-to-back innings. Those 2 plays for me obviously turn in his best defensive day so far. Granted, again, only 3 innings. The other defensive play that really, really stood out, they had David Hogg playing out in left field today. First time I've seen him out in the outfield, and I was praying that someone would hit him a ball, because I kind of wanted to see how it would go. And he showed off the athleticism. Jake Brown, again at the plate. Brown, again, 7 hits over the course of the first 2 days. Was 0 for 2 here on Sunday, but put the ball in play each time. And Milam kind of robbed him of a hit there in the first. Brown slices one to left. It is tailing away from Hogg the entire time, and he was shaded a little bit towards center field with Brown up. He made the run, tracked the ball great, caught it right just in fair territory down in the left field corner. It was a really nice play for somebody who is middle infield. But middle infielders, normally pretty good athletes, and David Hogg showed that off. So just file that away, that they had David Hogg out and left, and he made a really, really nice play on a tough fly ball. I don't really know if you're going to see him out there at any time. This might have just been a cool one-off, but that did impress me, seeing him, make those plays. Offensively for LSU here on Sunday, mentioned Stephen Milam. Mentioned Ashton Larson with the RBI single. That was good to see. He continues to put the bat on the ball. He beat the shift, which I really, really enjoyed. I've started to see LSU players be able to do that a little bit more here in the preseason. We'll see again if that can carry over. But you beat the shift consistently, and there's not going to be a shift anymore on you, right? And that's just going to make this lineup even more and more dangerous. Overall, offensively, and we kind of went through that inning already against Jaden Newt, but to see LSU string together 3 consecutive hits, that was great to see. To see Danny Dickinson come through with the RBI single, that was great to see. He had a really nice offensive weekend as well. That's kind of what I want to say here. I think in previous scrimmages throughout this preseason, it's been fairly even. Pitching's, had their moments. Offensive had their moments. It's been fairly even. And I think if someone asks me what do you want to see when you go out there? I mean, do you want to see the pitchers have the opportunity? No, I want to see it be even like it was. And a lot of the times the lineups weren't equitable that they put out there. And it still was even. So that's where I think you can actually really look at it and go, okay, man, the pitchers had some nice moments against some tough lineups and some tough sequences in the lineups. And the offense also came through. The one thing I would say about LSU's offense so far leading into this weekend in the scrimmages is while they maybe weren't just completely, dominant and spraying hits everywhere, they took advantage of situations very, very well. And I love seeing that early before you actually get into the season, because as we talk about all the time, the most important thing is the run. It does not matter how the run gets across. You get a free pass, take advantage. Somebody gives you a free base on an error, you take advantage of it. And LSU was great at doing that so far through this practice period. So I very much enjoyed that. Now, you fast forward to this last weekend, and the offense dominated. Like, it was the offense's show. And I am A-okay with that. And it's not overly surprising because, y'all, this is now let's see. Just on the weekend scrimmages, it's 11, let's see, 4, 3, 7, 10. 10 scrimmages that they've played against each other that were just on the weekends, not counting the ones that they had, kind of in between and at the end of practice or whatnot. They've seen each other a lot. So it would make sense that the offense does catch up at the end and have a big day. And in this case, they had a really big weekend. And that's going to start with Jake Brown. This was fantastic to see because everyone expects Jake Brown to take that step with the bat and really become a force in the lineup. Remember, Jake Brown, we remember some great moments from him at the plate last year, and there were. Jake Brown really emerged down the stretch. But as a whole on the season, there were some struggles for him at the plate. He hit 256 as a freshman, and everyone's expecting that jump. And to be quite honest with you hadn't seen really the consistency at the plate early on in the fall when it comes to base hits. He continually turned in great at bats. Like Jake Brown was not going up there and punching on 3 pitches. Jake Brown was not going out there and recording first pitch out of the first pitch out. But they just weren't kind of falling in yet. And for a guy who's to take a big jump, you want him hot heading into the regular season. And by golly, he is right now. Friday scrimmage, Jake Brown, 4 for 4, a double, a homer, 3 RBI. Okay. That plays. The very next day, 3 for 4, another homer, 2 more RBI for Jake Brown. And I told you on Sunday, yes, he was 0 for 2, but he hit the ball well both times. And basically, Stephen Milam robbed him of his 8th hit of the weekend out there in the scrimmages. You saw singles, you saw 2 homers, you saw doubles. What you saw from Jake Brown this weekend in a scrimmage is a potential middle of the order juggernaut for you and somebody who I think could provide great protection for Jared Jones. That is something that I am very intrigued to see if that's the route that they go to start this season. I think the easiest way to get that done would be to have Jared Jones in the 3 hole and have Jake Brown right behind him in the cleanup spot. That would also allow Jay to alternate left-right like he loves doing. And if Brown's this hot, because you have plenty of guys you can put behind Jake Brown who are really good hitters. You could put Milam in that spot. You could put Dickinson in that spot. Like there's There's a lot of guys. Tanner Reeves, a lot of guys that you could put there and protect Brown as well. But the most important thing is finding the protection from Jared Jones. And I think Jake Brown should get first crack at that, whether he's starting in right field on Friday or whether he's the starting DH. However you want to do it. I would love to see Jake Brown after this weekend, where he really burst onto the scene again and is that hot heading into the season, get first crack at protecting Jared Jones. From there, speaking of Jared Jones had another really nice weekend. Followed that up from a week ago where the 2 times I was out there, he had 4 hits, left the yard. That continued this weekend, a 2 for 4 day with a double. And, he was 4 for 8. And on Saturday, he left the yard twice. So, I mean, y'all, that's what you're looking for out of Jared Jones. That's 3 home runs the last 2 weekends. If Jared Jones, I'll just keep saying it, if Jared Jones has the right protection around him in this lineup, Jared Jones is going to hit 30 home runs. I really, really believe that. The caveat is, yes, he has that protection. But Jones is really seeing the ball. I love what he's done using the opposite field. He almost left the yard on Sunday. Fly ball to the warning track and right. Again, using the opposite field. It was actually a really nice play by Josh Pearson out there in right field. So Jones is seeing it as well. And that's very, very, very encouraging. The Pearson brothers both had nice weeks as well. Each of them with 2 hits on Saturday. And I told you, each of them with 2 hits on Friday. And I told you about John Pearson's double earlier on Saturday. So offensively, it looks like it's very much improving. The thing that I will throw out there that I think is maybe most important for this team coming out of this weekend, besides Jake Brown. So if that's most important, this is 1A, or excuse me, this is 1B, right? If that's 1A, this is 1B. Danny Dickinson had a nice weekend at the plate, and I think he needed that. Because at least in the few times that I had been out there, the hits weren't falling for him. And there was some swing and miss and some punch outs. He goes 2 for 4, left the yard on Friday, 2 RBI, and then follows that up again on Sunday with the RBI single. That's needed because I think they want Danny Dickinson to be the opening day starter. It makes a lot of sense with all the accolades and whatnot that he's gotten. It was good to see him on the final weekend really kind of take that step forward. So what I look at with this and kind of the overarching offensive takeaway is I think your lineup really came together over the last 3 scrimmages right before the season starts. I think that's a very, very good thing because you will remember the start of last season, it was LSU's pitching that carried them to the record that they had. Tommy White and Jared Jones would come through, but top to bottom offensively, you got off to a very slow start, even in your pre-conference. Yes, you put up 27 against VMI. I don't care. They're not good. And that was the final game of a weekend when they were completely out of pitching. Okay, whatever. That inflated your stats. The second game of the season, you managed 2 runs against Central Arkansas. Now you came with some big hits in that game, but you get you get where I'm going. I think LSU has the chance to jump out strong offensively right now, at least given what you saw in the last 3 scrimmages. It feels like it came together a little bit more, and that's really, really, really a good sign. One thing that we've talked about, and we'll kind of get out of here on this, is the catching behind the plate. I thought everyone really had a nice day on Sunday. Blaze Priester was phenomenal in blocking the ball, specifically with runners at third base. It was... let me find the inning. It was that second inning for Dalton Beck, and Cade Arambidi ends up on third. Priester had 2 great blocks to keep the ball in front of him, to keep the ball in front of him and not allow Arambidi to score from third. And ultimately, you would get out of that inning stranding that runner. So I thought he was great. Arambidi had the cross up with Jaden Newt. That's, you don't really want to see that, but that happens over the course of a game of baseball. Other than that, I thought Cade Arambidi had a really nice day behind the plate defensively. So that was encouraging for me too, to see the catchers have the day they had, keeping the ball in front of them in the final dress rehearsal, headed into opening weekend. So that position continues to be fascinating, and we'll see where LSU goes with it. But that was a good sign. I enjoyed seeing that. So all in all, y'all, they're ready. I'm like, they're ready to go play, which is a good thing. I don't know if they're ready to go out there and win SEC games right now, but they're at least ready to go out there and match up Purdue-Fort Wayne, and that's a matchup that LSU should win 99 times out of 100, right? So they're ready for that, which again is quite encouraging. It was a good preseason. I think we learned a lot. Now we'll see if we really did when they carry it over. We have a great week of shows coming up. We'll give a final prediction of the pitching staff. We will give a final preview and prediction for the offense. We will look through LSU's schedule, potential trip spots, and in that kind of incorporate some SEC preview and stuff. And then, y'all, we will preview Purdue-Fort Wayne. Fired up to finally dive into another team. We're going to count you down and lead you all the way up to first pitch on Friday, opening day, Valentine's Day, 2 p.m. Against Purdue-Fort Wayne. So be sure you're subscribed. Be sure to like, share, subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Follow me on social media and be with us here all week and beyond as the 2025 regular season is set to begin. We have you covered right here on Musso at the Box.